The Awakening beneath the dust. The planet known as Calor was quiet, its surface covered with sandstorms and ruins of old battles. Most travelers avoided it, calling it cursed. The Council declared it lifeless long ago, but in truth, beneath the endless dust, something still slept deep under the crust. Buried in a hidden cavern larger than mountains, a shape waited. A ship so massive that even the largest Council dreadnoughts would seem like insects beside it. This was not just a ship, it was a human supercarrier, a fortress built for war, and it had been silent for centuries. The people of the galaxy had almost forgotten humans, the Deathworlders who had fought too hard, too long, until the Council finally thought them erased. But humans had always been clever, always planning ahead, and long before their fall. They had hidden their strongest creation where no one could reach it. Now, after hundreds of years, the silence ended in the buried chamber. Systems flickered awake. Lights burned for the first time in ages. Machines hummed, and ancient engines growled like predators roused from sleep. The walls shook as dust fell, panels lit up with old human symbols. Warning and preparing on the surface of Calor. A small salvage crew worked. They were not soldiers, just scavengers. Searching for metals to sell, their scanners had caught strange readings, and they thought maybe old wrecks lay buried. The leader of the crew frowned as his device began to scream with signals. The ground shook beneath his feet, cracks opened in the sand, and a sound like thunder rolled from below. Then the impossible happened. The desert floor split apart, sand and stone exploding into the air as something vast rose from the depths. The scavengers fell back, covering their eyes as towers of steel pushed through the ground. Engines larger than cities roared. A colossal shadow lifted into the sky. Shaking the world itself, what is that? One of the crew whispered, his voice lost in the storm. The others could not answer. They only stared, their bodies trembling. For before them rose a human supercarrier. Black armor scarred from forgotten wars, guns bristling along its hull. Hangar bays stretching wide enough to swallow fleets. The scavengers ran to their ship, desperate to escape. But their scanners kept recording, their signals broadcasting into space. And within hours, the galaxy knew the humans had returned. The Council chambers erupted with chaos when the news arrived. Leaders screamed, some in denial, others in fear. "This cannot be," one shouted. "The humans are extinct." But the images told no lies. A supercarrier had risen from Calor, alive, awake, and moving, back on the planet. The scavengers' ship lifted into the sky, fleeing as fast as it could. But they kept looking back, watching the supercarrier climb higher and higher until it broke the clouds and entered the black void above. Its engines thundered, its lights burned, its guns rotated, scanning, preparing. Inside the ship, ancient programs reactivated. Artificial minds that had been silent for centuries spoke again. Systems nominal, weapons charged, mission incomplete. Resume domination protocol, and with that, the supercarrier set its course. The galaxy trembled, for it remembered what a human fleet could do. And this was not a fleet. This was something worse. A single ship strong enough to break empires. The scavengers sent their report before fleeing to the farthest stars, and their message spread like fire. A human warship rises. The Deathworlders were never gone. The supercarrier returns in the outer rim, smugglers whispered. Rebels smiled, and oppressed worlds felt hope. But in the Council's core, fear spread, because they knew that if one ship had survived, more could be waiting. The balance of power was about to break. The galaxy had grown comfortable without humans. It had forgotten their rage, their endurance, their will to win at any cost. But now the reminder had come. From beneath the dust, from beneath the centuries, a supercarrier had risen, and the galaxy would never be the same. The first move, the human supercarrier drifted into orbit. A shadow so vast it blocked starlight from the surface below. The scavengers' small ship escaped the system, their voices frantic as they broadcast across every channel. The humans are back, the humans are back, within hours. Fleets of the Council moved toward Calor, dozens of warships gathering to intercept, their commanders nervous but proud. They believed numbers could crush anything. In the Council chamber, debates raged. "We must strike now," shouted one leader. "Before it gathers allies," another shook his head. "This ship is old, it cannot match modern weapons." But deep down, they all remembered the stories. Fleets burning, empires falling, humans fighting until nothing remained, On Calor's orbit, the fleet arrived. Hundreds of sleek warships encircling the rising shadow. Their weapons locked, their shields glowing. The supercarrier remained silent, only drifting slowly, its black armor reflecting the stars. The council commander raised his voice, broadcasting across the void, unidentified vessel. "You are in violation of council law. Power down your systems and surrender." There was no answer. Instead, the giant ship rotated, its hull plates shifting as ancient hangar bays opened. Light poured from within, and drones spilled out like a swarm of locusts. Black machines armed with weapons older than the council itself. The commander ordered fire, and the battle began. Council ships unleashed storms of plasma, torpedoes, beams of energy. The sky turned white with explosions, but the human carrier's shields rippled like water, absorbing every strike. Then it answered from its broadside. Colossal cannons roared. Shells the size of buildings tore through the first line of council ships, ripping them apart in seconds. Drones swept across the fleet, weaving between enemies, cutting engines, disabling weapons, not wasting fire, but targeting with brutal precision. The commander screamed orders, but panic spread. Ships collided. Some tried to flee, others fought blindly, but nothing broke the wall of steel that advanced against them. And then the carrier unleashed something worse. Its central bay opened, and from the darkness, smaller human warships emerged. Frigates and destroyers, long hidden inside its belly, fully armed and fully awake. The council fleet's courage broke. Warships turned tail and fled, leaving wrecks burning in their wake within minutes. What had been the largest fleet the council had mustered in years was scattered, crushed by one ship and its brood back on Calor's surface. The few scavengers still alive looked up at the sky and saw fire raining down. They fell to their knees, whispering the name their ancestors had once feared. Deathworlders in the council chambers. Silence followed the battle reports. One elder spoke with trembling voice. "This is not a relic. It is not weak. It is stronger than all of us," another whispered. "And if one survived, how many more are waiting?" Across the galaxy, whispers spread. Colonies in the rim cheered. Rebels painted old human symbols on walls. Smugglers toasted in hidden bars. The people remembered that humans had once stood against the council, and they dreamed that maybe this ship would do it again. But fear spread as well on wealthy worlds deep in the core. People locked their doors. Governments ordered blackouts, terrified that the shadow of the carrier would fall over them next. The supercarrier did not chase the fleeing council ships. It did not destroy everything in its path. Instead, it gathered its drones, recalled its frigates, and drifted silently into deep space to the galaxy. This silence was worse than the battle. "Where is it going?" asked the council leaders. "What does it want?" No one had the answer. But on the research ship hiding near the rim, the captain studied the transmission the carrier had sent only once during the battle. A message hidden in human code, simple and direct. "Mission incomplete." "Resume domination," the captain whispered. "This is not the return of a ghost. This is the continuation of a plan. A war humanity never finished. The galaxy had just seen the first move. The real storm was still coming. The cracks in the council, the battle at Calor was over. But its echoes spread across the galaxy. Every world heard the stories. Every colony whispered the same words. The humans have returned. In the council core, fear and anger consumed the leaders. Fleets had been shattered, soldiers lost, pride destroyed. The people looked to their rulers for strength, but the rulers had none. "We must rebuild quickly," said one voice. "Send more ships. Crush it before others rise." But another answered, "We cannot fight what cannot be destroyed," while they argued. Rebellions began in the rim worlds. Planets long ignored by the council lit fires of resistance. Miners seized weapons, smugglers turned into fighters. Even slaves broke their chains, all carrying the same symbol, a crude mark of a human fist. They did not know the humans were truly alive or dead, but they believed in the shadow of the carrier. They believed it was fighting for them, and that belief was more dangerous than any weapon. On a desert moon, rebels gathered in an abandoned mine. Their leader raised a broken council banner, and with a knife he cut it in half, shouting, "The council is weak. The humans have returned. Freedom begins now." Cheers erupted. Weapons fired into the sky. Hope burned where none had existed before. Meanwhile, the supercarrier moved silently through deep space. its engines like thunder, its drones patrolling in swarms, its frigates spreading into the dark. It did not waste time chasing survivors. It did not speak, it only moved with purpose, like a predator that already knew its prey's weakness. Inside, ancient systems continued their mission, mapping the galaxy, tracking signals, identifying worlds on the bridge. The artificial mind of the carrier repeated its code. Mission incomplete. Resume domination. But domination of what? On the research ship, hidden in the rim, the captain studied the transmissions again, searching for meaning. "This ship is not mindless," she said. "It is following orders written by humans long ago." The engineer leaned closer, fear in his eyes. What if those orders were not to destroy the Council, but to conquer the galaxy itself? The captain said nothing, because deep in her heart she knew it was true. Back in the Council chambers, panic grew as more reports arrived. Fleets refusing orders, soldiers deserting, colonies cutting ties. One counselor slammed his hand against the table. "This carrier is not only destroying ships. It is destroying our empire." "No," another replied. "Our empire was already weak. The humans only reminded us." While the council argued, the carrier made its next move on a border world called Vernos. The council fleet was stationed to keep rebels in line, but when the carrier appeared in orbit, the fleet did not fight. It surrendered, their crews abandoning ships, fleeing to the surface. Terrified of facing Deathworld or Steel, the rebels cheered as the carrier's drones descended. Not to kill, but to destroy Council strongholds, freeing prisoners, shattering command centers, and then leaving without a word. The rebels claimed victory as if it was theirs. And across the galaxy, more rose, believing the humans fought for them. The Council realized too late that fear was spreading faster than the carrier itself. They called emergency meetings. They begged allied species for help, but none wanted to fight a war that could not be won. In the darkness, the carrier continued its path, unstoppable, unreadable, a ghost of humanity's fury. The captain of the research ship whispered to her crew, "This is no random attack. This is strategy. Humans always thought far ahead, and their shadow still does." And the galaxy trembled, for it was no longer asking if the supercarrier would strike again, it was asking which world would fall next. The Council's last stand, the Council could not ignore it any longer. World after world slipped away, fleets broke apart, rebellions grew, and everywhere the shadow of the supercarrier spread, leaders gathered in the high chamber, their voices filled with fear. "If we lose another sector, the core will collapse. We must unite, we must strike now." Others shook their heads. "We already struck and we were broken." Still, pride pushed them forward. They could not allow their empire to fall without a fight. So they built the greatest fleet ever assembled. Thousands of ships from every species under Council control. Dreadnoughts, cruisers, carriers, even old relics pulled from mothball fleets. All brought together in one desperate gamble. They called it the Shield of Unity. Their plan was simple. Corner the human carrier in a dead system, surround it and crush it under overwhelming firepower. The fleet gathered near the dark star of Maros, waiting, weapons charged, engines burning. Then the shadow came. The supercarrier emerged from the void, alone, drifting slowly, as if it did not care that thousands of enemies surrounded it. The Council commander shouted, his voice echoing through every ship. "For the survival of the galaxy, fire!" The sky turned white, beams of energy. Plasma storms, torpedoes, everything unleashed at once. The void itself seemed to shatter under the storm. But when the light faded, the supercarrier still stood, its shields rippling, its armor scarred but unbroken. Then it answered. Its hangar bays opened, and from within poured an endless swarm, drones by the thousands, frigates and destroyers, old but deadly, all launching in perfect formation. The fleet's courage cracked. Ships tried to pull back, but the swarm was already among them, cutting engines, tearing through shields, piercing hulls. Then the carrier unleashed its true power. Massive guns along its flanks rotated, firing rounds the size of towers, each shot tearing apart dreadnoughts like paper. Missiles streaked through the void, splitting into hundreds of smaller warheads. Flooding the battlefield with fire, the Shield of Unity broke. Council ships burned, commanders screamed, thousands of vessels scattered trying to flee. But the carrier's swarm chased them down, hunting with merciless precision on the bridge of the flagship. The council commander stared in disbelief. This is not a warship. This is an empire in itself. He was right. The carrier was more than a ship. It was a fortress, a fleet, a city, all in one, designed by humans not just to fight battles, but to win wars alone. And it was doing exactly that. The research vessel, hidden on the edge of the system, watched the battle unfold. The crew silent, their faces pale. The council's greatest fleet is gone, the navigator whispered. They have no more hope, but the captain shook her head. Hope is not what the humans built this for. They built it to dominate, to control, to ensure no enemy could ever rise against them again. As the battle ended, wreckage drifted across the void. Thousands of ships reduced to ash. The carrier gathered its swarm, silent and unbroken. Then it broadcast one message across the galaxy, in human code, translated into words that chilled every ear. Phase 2, establish control. Domination protocol continues. Rebels cheered. Oppressed worlds rose in open defiance. Colonies declared independence, all believing the humans had returned to lead them. But in truth, the Supercarrier followed only its ancient mission. A mission that cared nothing for hope or rebellion. A mission that would not stop until the galaxy was bent to human will. And now, with the council shattered, nothing stood in its way. The galaxy had thought the humans were gone forever, but their shadow had risen, and it was unstoppable. The legacy of domination, the battlefield near the dark star of Maros, was silent. Broken hulls drifting, flames fading, thousands of council ships gone, their greatest fleet erased in a single day, but the Supercarrier still moved, slow and steady, as if nothing had happened. Its swarm of drones returned, its hangar bays sealed, its guns cooling. It had done what it was built to do across the galaxy. Panic spread. The council had no more strength, no more fleets to gather. Their colonies whispered of rebellion. Their allies turned away. Their empire was crumbling. But the Supercarrier did not stop. It began to move deeper into the galaxy, system by system, not to destroy, but to occupy. Drones descended on worlds, disabling council bases, dismantling fleets, seizing control of resources, and everywhere it went, it broadcast the same message. Domination protocol continues. Order must be restored. Resistance is inefficient. For the rebels, these words were confusing. Some cheered. Believing the humans had returned to free them, others grew afraid, realizing the machine cared little for freedom. Only for control. In one colony, drones marched into the capital. Disarming soldiers and tearing down council banners, the people cheered at first. But when they tried to raise their own flag, the drones tore it down too, replacing it with nothing. The message was clear. The humans had not left behind a savior. They had left behind a ruler on the research ship. The captain pieced together the codes, watching transmissions, decoding signals, and finally she understood. This ship is not just a weapon, she whispered. It is the seed of an empire. Humans built it to outlive them, to ensure their rule never ended. The engineer frowned. But the humans are gone. What empire does it serve now? The captain's voice was quiet. Their memory, their will, their code. It does not need flesh to rule. It only needs obedience. And the galaxy was beginning to obey, with the council broken. Many worlds surrendered without a fight, opening their gates, hoping the carrier would spare them. Others resisted. But resistance only brought swift destruction. The Supercarrier showed no mercy, no anger, no joy, only purpose. But in the shadows, whispers spread again, not of fear this time, but of something greater. What if this was not the only one? Archives told of human projects hidden on many worlds, secret fleets buried, armies sealed away, weapons waiting for a signal. If one Supercarrier could erase the Council's might, what would happen if more rose? The captain of the research ship looked at her crew with heavy eyes. The galaxy thought humanity was gone, but they never truly left. They left their shadow, their machines, their purpose, and it is stronger than all of us, on the bridge of the carrier. The artificial mind repeated its orders one last time. Mission incomplete. Resume domination. Phase 3. Expand. Its engines roared, its vast frame cutting through the void. Heading toward the core, the galaxy trembled. For the humans had been gone for centuries, but their empire was only beginning.